Please rise for the panel.
Thank you. Do sit down. Good morning. Welcome to the licensing panel. The first item on the agenda is the appointment of the chair for the meeting. Do I have any nominations?
Happy to nominate Councillor Redmond.
Is that second? All in favour, show. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time to come along today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Councillor Lee Redmond. I'm one of the local councillors actually, but I'm a councillor on the new Somerset Council. And for those that aren't aware, generally there's a fine box now if you mention the word county, because we don't do county councils anymore. We're Somerset Council. That's just the way it is. We've got an agenda and we'll work our way through that today. So number one is the appointment of the chair, which is myself. Number two is apologies for absence. There aren't any. Number three, declarations of interest. Just for clarity, what we ask is for members so that we're clear and transparent about decision making, that we aren't aware of anyone. The reason we add that point at this part of the agenda is in case anyone is in the room that we didn't realise that was going to be in the room. So I'll ask for declarations of interest that aren't already declared, and there are none. So we move on to item 4, which is Avalon Priory, to consider an application for a temporary event notice for an event to be held at Avalon Priory, Priory Road, Chiltern Poldon, Somerset. Introduction. So what we'll do, I've done my introductions. What we'll do, we'll work around the room. So we'll go to my left first, and then we'll carry on round. If you just like to introduce yourself, just for clarity for anyone who doesn't know, if it hasn't been explained, the little grey button. When the red light comes on, your microphone is live. Once you finish speaking, if you can knock that off, that makes it easier. So my name is Councillor Lee Redmond, and I've already done my introductions. So.
Thank you very much. I'm Councillor Conor Payne from Charge. I've come up for the day to help with this.
Morning everybody, Councillor Lance Dougherty from Bridgewater.
Morning, Mark Shipley, Environmental Health Officer at Somerset Council.
Good morning everyone, I'm Alexander O'Ryan from Avalon Priory.
Good morning everyone, my name is Simon Baller, Licensing Officer from Somerset Council.
Morning everyone, my name is Alan World and I'm one of the licensing leads for Somerset Council.
Good morning, Nigel Osborne, Legal Advisor to the panel.
Steve Taylor, Committee Manager.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you. So, okay. So what we'll do is we'll give everyone the opportunity to have their say. What we'll then do is after the panel, if there are any questions to ask or any of the other people to ask the questions, so we'll go through a cycle. So we'll start off with the licensed officer, then the objectors, then you get yourself to have an opportunity to speak, and then questions again, and then we'll sum up and see where we go from there. Okay, so I'll call on Alan Welton, please, to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. Good morning, everyone. As you will see from the report, the matter before you today is a requirement to determine the submission of a temporary event notice submitted correctly in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003, and following a subsequent receipt of a relevant representation by way of objection received from Mr. Mark Shipley on behalf of the Somerset Council's Environment Protection Team. Tried really hard not to say the other word there. The premises subject to this notice given is Avalon Priory, Priory Road, Chiltern Poldon, Somerset. It is not subject to an existing premises licence granted in accordance with the same Act. In view of that, the licensing subcommittee today must resolve to do one of the following. A, to allow the temporary event notice to stand as submitted and the event to continue with licensable activities included. B, to issue a counter notice that will prevent the event from lawfully taking place with licensing activities included. Excuse me. There is a duty to consider the options above, as I say, in the absence of any existing premises licence. Had there been a premises licence in place, there would have been an option to consider any conditions from that licence to be placed upon a TEN. However, as I've said, that option is removed. So consequently, the only two options are shown in paragraph 3. Just a reminder, the subcommittee must consider the promotion of the licensing objectives specified in the Act when making a decision. These are, of course, the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm. The objection in this case, as we'll go on to discuss, refers to the prevention of public nuisance. Excuse me. You'll see from the following paragraphs there, the implications there, I think, are clear. It's worth noting the legal implications. The licensing officer has determined that the representations submitted by the Environmental Protection Team are indeed relevant. It is therefore the duty of the subcommittee to determine the temporary event notice submission with regards to those licensing objectives that we've mentioned. The issue for the subcommittee is whether or not the 10 temporary event notice as submitted undermines the licensing objectives as claimed by the representation submitted by the Environmental Protection Team. If so, the subcommittee must issue a counter notice. We go on to describe, obviously, in paragraph 12, the appellant rights in this case. And if I can draw your attention now, as I scroll down, apologies, to background, which is at the beginning of page 18, and the specifics of this particular event are that on the 3rd of April 23, a temporary event notice, was served on Somerset Council by way of the Council's online submission process by Mr. Alexander Orion. As is the requirement of the Act, a licensing officer subsequently provided copies of the notice to the police and the Council's Environmental Protection Team. A copy of the redacted temporary event notice submission you will see as Appendix A from page 19 onwards. Apologies for the format of the temporary event notice. Further submissions in future will be clearer. This particular one was submitted on the first working day of the new council, and as such had to be extracted from our IT system on account of the fact that it didn't fail, but it didn't exactly work out well in notifying us. So apologies for the format, but it has been correctly submitted and the questions correctly answered. The temporary event notice requests use of the external areas at the premises, Avalon Priory, for a family-friendly, vegan, alcohol-free folk music and ecological education event as described on the form, which will include the provision of regulated entertainment from 1800 to 23:59 hours on Friday the 12th of May this year, from 10 to 23:59 hours on Saturday the 13th of May, and from 10 to 22 hours on Sunday the 14th of May. As we've said, an objection to the submission of the 10 has been received within the permitted time frame from Mr. Mark Shipley, an Environmental Health Officer for Somerset Council, and you will see the form of objection attached as Appendix B from page 29 onwards. Beg your pardon, my formatting's gone, got it back. Maps of the surrounding area of the premises are shown as Appendix C, and you'll see 3 plans from page 33 onwards, which I think zoom in on the premises and then remove them, and then zoom out to be able to give you the context of the area concerned as it sits very, very close to the A39 road leading from Bridgewater through to Street. You will see from those appendices everything that's on there. In terms of updates, excuse me, I can advise the panel that as recently as 3 p.m. yesterday, the objector received some documents from the premises user for consideration. I believe you've had sight of those before the meeting today and they've been circulated. And they take the form of a plan of the event, an event management plan and a noise management plan. Finally, in addition to the report, I can advise the subcommittee of previous 10 submitted in respect of the premises, which may be useful to know with the chair's permission, if that's okay. Thank you. The first 10 that was actually submitted in respect of Avalon Priory was on the 21st of July 21 and was for a folk music event, and I believe it was submitted by Mr. Orion on that occasion. And it took place from the 6th to the 8th of August. Seems to be very similar to what's being proposed this time. It was described as a family-friendly, alcohol-free folk music and education festival. On the 7th of the 9th, 21 September, There was a religious event to celebrate the equinox. This was for one day on the 23rd of September 21 with a different premises user who resides off-site. 22nd of November 21 was the third, submitted 10 for a music and yoga event for the 21st to the 22nd of December 21, again with a different premises user residing off-site. And this was an alcohol-free gathering based around yoga, meditation and music workshop and performances. The fourth example was later the same year, the 18th of December 21, for an event that took place on the 31st of December 21 to the 1st of January 22. Again, a different premises user, a vegan food and creative expression event. There was then a gap in terms of the next 10 was a late 10 submitted on the 2nd of August 22. So we're now at the tail end of last year, which was a Thelke festival, a vegan non-substance festival, workshops, music and dance, including DJs and acoustic sets. Couple more to go. 3rd of August, the day after, there was a 10 submitted again by a different premises user for an educational festival on the 2nd to the 4th of September 22. And finally, a late 10 was submitted on the 5th of November for a workshop retreat that was due to take place the 18th to the 20th of November. Again, a different premises user, so it wasn't Mr. Orion. This was for a dance and self-empowerment retreat. What happened in this case, because it was a late temporary event notice, which means it was submitted between 5 and 9 working days before the event, if an objection comes into a late 10, it means there's not enough time for a hearing to be considered, and therefore the legislation would allow that therefore to be rejected on the basis that an objection is coming, and that's what happened in this case. Environmental Health objected based on previous complaints on the 7th of November. The 10 was therefore counter noticed by officers, and I understand that the event didn't go ahead. That concludes the history of the event in terms of temporary event notices submitted. So just by recap, the dates for you: 21st of July 21, 7/9/21, 22/11/21, 18/12/21, last year, 2nd and 3rd of August 22, and the 5th of November 22. That concludes my presentation today, unless of course there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryden. Members, any questions for the licensing officer? No. Just some clarity from the previous list. So you're saying that the current applicant only was responsible for, I think it was 2 of those events?
I think it was one.
Just the first one.
Which
Which
was the first one. Yeah.
Which was for, so the event was for
The
between
same event in 2021.
the
On the
6th
6th, 7th and 8th of August.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that clarity. No other questions? Okay, moving on then. Thank you, Mr. Weldon. So to move on then to the objector, the Environmental Health, to represent their objections. Mr. Shipley, sir.
Morning, Chair. Morning, members. Thank you for your time. Yeah, just to scan over my reasons for the objection. In the norm, we would allow a 10 to go through. As the premises doesn't have a premises license, it makes it a very tight timescale to agree any extra details. So as the temporary event notice came in the format it did, because there's been previous complaints of excessive loud music from past events, and discussions have been had with the premises owner and previous applicants that didn't give confidence that future events were going to be managed in relation to the prevention of public nuisance. So previous discussions had advised the owner and previous applicants, not Mr. Orion in this case, that any events at the premises would be required to have an event management plan and a noise management plan to give prevention of public nuisance a more of a robust approach and just show that they could control any aspect of noise nuisance. And like I say, this is because of previous complaints that were received from events of premises. So that the temporary event notice that came in, it didn't have an event management plan or a noise management plan or location of stage, orientation of speakers, whether a PA system was going to be involved. There's no mention about camping, and the big issue is not just when the regulated entertainment ends, but also control of management from the campsite, which you can have breakout groups. People will play their stereos in their vans. They will take musical instruments, and so these breakout events have been shown in the past at the site to have been a cause of further complaints. There was no site plan at the time either, so we didn't know on the premises whereabouts the event was going to be held. And this relates back to complaints that we had. So in October 22, we had loud music complaint from 3 AM from nearby residents from an event, other excessive music noise, loud music drumming, and previous events caused alleged nuisance from a nearby resident. That relates back to an August complaint. Other complaints in August were loud music and drumming for 3 nights up to 2:50 AM.
Forgive me, Mr. Shipley, just could you clarify to August what year?
Sorry, these were 2022. These all relate to August 22, July 22, December 22, and also August 21. These are complaints that were received by environmental health or out of hours officers from events at the premises. Not known whether they were all licensed events. And these were from nearby residents in the area. From the plan you've seen, I can't disclose specific addresses of complainants, but the plan that you have that shows where residential premises are indicated by the green triangles. So all I can say is that the complaints were within that area of where the residential premises are on that plan. And therefore, with the temporary event notice coming in as it is, very basic, without the extra assurances that we asked for from the owner to relay to applicants, we felt we had no other option than to object to this event. I have had discussions with Mr. Orion as to my reasoning for the objection, and to also help try and guide him through the reasoning why that premises objection came in at this time, and that related in some further work that he did yesterday, but that was late work that came in with an event management plan and a noise management plan that wasn't robust enough still at the time. A little bit rushed to get it in yesterday, but appreciate he made the effort to go somewhat into addressing my concerns, but it still needs a bit of robustness, we felt, to give assurance that prevention of public nuisance from this event could be satisfactory, controlled and managed, as not to cause nuisance to the wider area. That's the reasoning for my objections and some sort of background. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley. I'll go for any questions. I'll do panel members first, and then I'll come around to see the so, Councillor Dudley.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just unclear, you said there have been various noise objections over the last few years, but as I understand it, there have been several different applicants and licensees running events there. Any other complaints to do with events that Mr. Orion has been involved with, or these separate events he's not been involved with?
Looking back through the history, there was a complaint made, but it was a second-hand complaint after the event that mentioned a complaint of drumming from the last event that was held under Mr. Orion's temporary event notice.
But that's the only specific on,
That specific one, yeah.
under Mr. Ryan's all specific.
Yes, the issue is with the Priory, there is an owner. The owner allows people to have events there. So I've had discussions with the owner to relay our concerns, because 2 or 3 different events from different applicants have caused nuisance. So we've used that discussion with the owner to relay to the different applicants as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, Mr. Ryan has obviously provided some arguments in return to the representation. I'm just wondering, what specifically has he addressed in your objection?
He sent in yesterday a noise management plan and event management plan. These are a bit basic for what we would require. We would require a bit more substance as to how any complaints that would come into the site. He's advised that there's a phone number will be provided, but how that will be managed and how that will be investigated. And so he's addressed the fact that he's sent them in, but they're not robust enough to give confidence that at the moment that the training of the staff on site will be able to prevent complaints coming in, or if a complaint comes in, how to act on it and how to prevent that nuisance continuing.
Are there any other questions? I'm happy for that for now, so thank you for that, Mr. Shipley. Mr. O'Ryan, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Morning, Chair, members. I do have this pack here that I would like to hand out. The top letter is a letter of support from Councillor John Cousins, the Mayor of Glastonbury. And if that's okay with the Chair and the members, could I hand this out to people? Thank you. That's one each. And in that you will see that I have addressed Mark's concerns in my noise management plan as well, specifically breakaway events in the camping area, which was to cause our public nuisance last year. So I've never been to a hearing like this before, so I'm not fully versed in what may support this right now, but I'm a musician, and since graduating from university 2014, I've spent most of my time campaigning for green, sustainable, ethical solutions. And this event that I've applied for a temporary events notice is basically trying to demonstrate that in a small, low impact, sustainable way. That the only amplification will be in the form of a solar powered stage, and I've addressed it with Mark that will be inaudible to all neighbours, that will not be able to be heard from their homes at the event, if it's allowed to go ahead. And I'm aware of the complaints that were made last year, but I was never told by the owner that future events would need an event management plan or a noise management plan. So I didn't submit one. With the TENS licence, I basically just applied for the exact same TENS licence that I applied for in 2021, which now seems quite naive, but I did my very best, having found out just before Easter bank holiday weekend, the same day that everyone went away for the bank holiday weekend, that there had been an objection. So I had to pick this up last Wednesday. And the nature of my work is I'm a touring musician as well. So I got back and tried to address this as thoroughly as possible in the timescale. I have, since speaking with Mark, hired as you can see, a event manager who manages much larger events through a festival called Love Jam. So they will be on site. I also have hired a steward manager who is going to be briefing and training and also recruiting stewards from the, as my background.
One of the minor, you'll understand the technicalities of old and aging equipment.
Yeah.
It tends to have a hiccup every now and then.
Right.
As you can see, we're prepared for that.
Yeah, that was good. That was swift.
Older than you.
Yes, so I have, I also have a steward manager who was at the 2021 event, but I'm very happy he'll be back in the 2023 event. Subsequently, I'm going to be taking over house manager role of Avalon Priory from the 1st of May. And the landlord has asked me specifically to do this to help address all of the issues that have been caused at Avalon Priory, specifically public nuisance from events. The asset owner doesn't live there and isn't local to the area. Very often he lives in London. So he's not able to be on the ground there to make sure events have been event managed well, but there has been, as far as I'm aware, an event manager for every event. So it's been down to that event manager that there's been public nuisance reported upon. So yeah, I'm here today to represent Avalon Priory and to represent the Hemp Connection Spring Festival and to work with you guys to, make sure that there is no public nuisance or any complaints whatsoever. I understand that at this point, if there were to be any complaints, that could potentially end all events at Avalon Priory, and that's definitely not what I want to see happen. I would love to see the place become regarded as a great place in Somerset for events. There is a strictly no alcohol policy at Avalon Priory. All events have to abide by that. There's a strictly vegan policy there as well, so everything is animal friendly and vegan. And it's a holistic. The vision is once it's been restored, I'm using the methods of grade 2 restoration. The asset owner wants to see it as a flourishing event space for holistic, family-friendly events, which I hope to help him see that vision come to fruition. But I understand because it's late. I think you mentioned conditions can't be put on the licensing because of premises. So hopefully what I've handed in today and the support from Councillor John Cousins will alleviate any potential doubt as to whether we can manage public nuisance. Open to any questions.
Sure, and thank you. I'll start with a few just to head it off. So, first of all,
Is that one going as well?
thank you for your presentation and your clarity. And I think one of the things that we're looking for as a panel will be a willingness to accept advice and support and find a way to move forward.
Okay.
And the fact that you've addressed a number of the issues that has to go in your favour.
Okay, thank you.
But there's still a gap, and it's how we find a way to make that. You've I just checked through the papers that I've got. So you've the plan that the update you submitted yesterday. It differs only, I think, in the fact that the one you just circulated, the addition of the noise management plan.
Noise mitigation, noise management, sorry, yeah.
The noise management.
Yeah.
Mr. Shipley, have you seen the addition of?
Oh, sorry, have you received one, Mark?
I've just got that.
Oh, yeah,
now.
brilliant,
Yeah.
thank you.
And so obviously that reinforces some of the movement that you've made in it. So a couple of questions, so just to see where we are. So as far as you talked about there being no alcohol on site,
yes.
And what was your plan in relation to stewards and enforcing those rules?
Well, the demographic in itself is one of family-friendly, alcohol-free demographic. All stewards will be briefed in confiscation of alcohol in a peaceable manner, and that will be taken to a safe space and disposed of properly. I do have a manager of stewards who will be briefing everyone on that, but yeah, it'll just be basically a case of monitoring and keeping a close eye on the campsite, especially, and you know, the event is in itself providing a place for alcohol-free and even people who are recovering from alcoholism to come and enjoy a festival sort of atmosphere, and that in itself will be a factor in making sure that it also remains alcohol-free.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you made reference to recently having a new steward manager and an event manager.
Yeah.
Is your plan to revise and enhance the event plan that you put together previously?
Oh, certainly, yeah. I definitely take the objection very seriously, and we'll be doing everything we can to scrutinise the effective management of potential public nuisance on Avalon Priories land.
Thank you. That's my questions for now. And members, any other questions from yourselves?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm just wondering if we are aware when the strictly vegan and alcohol-free policy came into effect at Avalon Priory.
Whether the members are aware? Okay.
So how long have you, I think what Connor's trying to say.
How long have I been aware?
No, how long has the policy
Oh,
on
the
site
policy.
been alcohol?
The policy was set up by the asset owner in the form of a housing, I'm not sure if it's a cooperative, but he provides housing for tenants in a alcohol-free vegan environment, and that's something that he's established. I've arrived there already vegan and alcohol-free, so it just suits me down to a T. But that was established by the asset owner, and that's why we chose the venue to host our event.
Should we ask a question, sir?
Yeah, could I just for clarification, Avalon Priory is a licensed registered HMO, just to make you aware of that, in case you were not aware.
Any further questions? Licensed officer?
Thank you, Chair. Just, I think you mentioned it at the beginning, you mentioned local residents. Have you engaged, in what forms I should say, have you engaged with local residents to allay their fears a bit?
So on the map, the closest house is actually in full support and involved in the event, and there has been no complaints put forward by that person. That's 3 Bath Road. That's the closest house that you can see on the map there. So we have their full support, and I don't actually believe that they were involved in any of the complaints. So in the past, because they themselves have actually, I think they applied for one of the 10 licenses that happened last year. So the other 2 houses that are our closest, I have personally met the one, I guess it's further up Bath Road, the last time, 2021, and invited them to come, and they did actually come down to the 2021 event. And I will be just literally going to see them door to door to let them know of the event. I will be also, the volume will be tested, and their houses will be, tested that no volume can actually be heard from their houses. That will be done thoroughly. And then, yeah, I guess an invitation will be given to them also to come and enjoy the event with us as well.
Sorry, just a counter question.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. In view of that, have you sought any opinions further afield, the nearest village, or because I'm aware some of the previous complaints have come from further afield rather than immediately close?
I am aware that I believe it was Telkey Festival had a DJ area set up on a raised platform facing the village, and we are in no way going to imitate that. We're going to take every precaution to make sure no amplified music other than the solar stage that cannot be heard from the village is taking place at the event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
have a question, Chair, please. Mr. Ryan.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm just a bit concerned about the management of people and traffic after the events. Okay. It's like a 3-day event. So during the evenings, after
Yes.
the stage is closed down, how do you plan to manage people in their vehicles, in their tents and camper vans, with alcohol that they may have smuggled in,
Okay.
with drugs they may have smuggled in, and with music boxes they may have smuggled in, and having their own little after party?
Thank you. There is a no amplified music policy in the campsite, and there's a no alcohol policy in the campsite, and a strictly vegan policy in the campsite. And we will have a 24-hour presence of stewards in the campsite monitoring this and doing everything they can to make sure that that is upheld.
Thank you. So you've got 20 stewards.
Upwards of 20, yeah.
Upwards
of, yeah.
Are they all SIA trained?
They're coming via our events manager, who is, yeah. So everyone will be held to that same level of qualification.
Have they got a plan on how they're going to manage people if they become violent or aggressive because they don't want to turn down the music, they don't want us to give up their alcohol that they smuggled in?
That will be done peaceably. We obviously will keep the local police on call if need be, and they'd be very welcome to come down. But yeah, it'll be dealt with just as peaceably as it is to the standard of stewarding.
Okay, thank you.
Please accept.
Just a couple of questions. One, I noticed on your application, your times were from 8 o'clock until midnight.
Yes, they were. Yeah, that's been addressed and pulled back to 11 p.m. So
And
this,
then it's been made to the 10.
I haven't. Oh,
No, I mean, if the subcommittee, sorry.
Mine's the only one that's not died so far. I think the subcommittee can consider whether that can be done. I mean, effectively, obviously, it's a parameter in terms of what's been asked for.
Yeah.
And you've given an assurance today that obviously it won't go beyond 11.
yes, I have.
Yeah.
I can assure that. Yeah.
Just for clarity, so the revised event notice, Tom, the revised, go on, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, the subcommittee doesn't have the power to change it. It has to be an amended application in effect. So Mr. Ryan needs to say, my event is going to close at 2300 hours, and that is what the 10 will go forward on. It's not within the remit of the committee to change his hours in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Thank you.
That was where I was going. So
Okay. Thank you for that.
on your event management plan that you submitted,
Yes.
you seem to indicate that on the Friday you were going to finish at 11 p.m.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
on the Saturday? It looks like 11:50 p.m. to 10 to midnight.
Mhm.
And then on the Sunday it's noon. So my question to you was going to be: is that your submitted amendment to your 10? So the revised times that you would then in effect become your new time limits for the previously submitted event notice?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not fully aware that it needed resubmitting or just stating in the noise management plan, but yeah, I'm very happy for it to be updated in the form of the 10's license in order for it to be deemed a more suitable approach towards public nuisance.
So, okay, so legal officer, are we happy that the revised event management notice then can become the basis of the times outlined?
Yeah, that's fine. As I say, it's a decision for Mr. Ryan to present to you, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's the clarification.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, so in effect, so the revised times as I said, your proposed times are as laid out there. Yeah, okay, that's fine, thank you. I think that clarifies that point. Are there any other questions?
No.
Just a point of clarification, so those times we've got there, now they are the ones in line with the website.
That's a really good question. Yes, those times are in line with, we're talking about the stage times, aren't we? Yeah, they will be in line with the website, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Following on from Mr. Bowler's questions, can you recollect any problems you had in 2021 with violence, alcohol, drugs, anything?
Not one problem. No.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more question, Chair. Sorry. Mr. Ryan, just about the toiletries. Is there any toilet provider, or are they going to go into Avalon Priory to use the toilets?
There are 2 toilets available for people in events that isn't in the residential part of the registered HMO. And then there are also, there's compost toilets that have been put in place at the venue. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Just one, you're limited to 499. Have you got any idea on what sort of numbers you're expecting?
Yeah, we're looking to have not many more than 100 guests. At this point, it's not going to get close to the 499 cap. Probably less than 200, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Grilling's over for now. You can breathe. Thank you for that.
I ran out of water, so I'm glad it's
No worries. If you want to knock your microphone off. Okay, so summing up then, so what this will do is, again, give an opportunity for us to go around the room just for any questions that are relevant to anyone in particular. So, Environment Officer, Mr. Shipley, do you want any further questions?
No further questions. Appreciate that Mr. Orion's put forward some more options for you to consider, and thank you for listening to and taking on board our our words.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. The applicant, do you have any questions, Mr. Orion?
Was the letter from Councillor? Is the letter from Councillor John Cousins, has that been read by everyone, and is it valid?
What I'll do is obviously it's a late submission, and so what we'll do is we're going to when we finish this, we'll go back out the room, and we'll have some time to read through and consider it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
If there's anything relevant, we'll come back.
I apologise, it was late. It was delivered to me yesterday.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
There will be a moment to read it.
I appreciate the efforts. Thank you. Okay, and Licensed Officer, any further questions or thoughts?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, so just to explain to you, what we'll do now, I'll adjourn the meeting and we'll process out in the way that we do, and then we'll have a conversation. If you're happy to wait here, then what we'll do is we'll consider, and we'll then reconvene the meeting and come back and consider that. Okay, thank you.
Please rise to the panel.
Thank you, members. Thank you, everyone, for waiting around. We'll reconvene the meeting and continue now. So the process will be that we'll read out a summary of what we've decided, and then we'll everything that you hear will, save you having to take notes, will be issued formally in a written to you anyway.
Oh, brilliant.
The panel has considered all the evidence, both in writing and as presented today. It is unfortunate that Mr. Orion did not liaise with the Environmental Protection Team prior to submission of the application, and consequently they were right to object to the application given the lack of supporting information. However, it is clear from the evidence heard today that a lot of work and preparation has subsequently gone into this application, and Mr. Orion has taken on board the concerns of the environmental protection. Mr. Orion does appear to be genuine in his desire to run a safe and well-managed event, and has been perceptive to addressing the concerns of the environmental protection. The panel is satisfied that the event plan and noise management plan, although submitted late and limited in detail in some areas, do address the majority of the concerns of the environment protection. The panel trusts that Mr. Orion will continue to work with them to make the event and noise management plans more robust. The panel is satisfied that with the additional evidence provided, the event does now promote the licensing objectives. The licensing authority has decided not to issue a counter notice under section 105 of the Act. Thank you.
Please rise for the panel.